Educational synergy, a model for the integration of mixed-use natural spaces in Baruta. Baruta is a municipality located southeast of the Caracas metropolitan area, characterized by growth conditioned by topographic characteristics, where a great variety of ecological and landscape resources of great value can be found. Its accessibility is given by a main route of metropolitan importance, from which alternate routes emerge for each sector. They do not finish, putting together a circuit between them that allows a parallel alternative that helps to decongest the main road and improve the poor accessibility to public transport. In the study area, you can find important educational institutions, such as the Simón Bolivar University, which has a great influence within the urban dynamics, being able to acquire a more active sociocultural and socio-productive role at the community level. These institutions are close to green areas that are mostly unused, or need to be protected or integrated, either due to the uncontrolled expansion of settlements in areas of environmental interest or because they are unstable. Many of these disused green areas are located between the sectors, finding the possibility of recognizing and equipping them to help integrate formal areas, self-built settlements, and unlinked, unconsolidated areas. The Educational Synergy project seeks to generate a network of spaces and the necessary infrastructure in underused natural areas to strengthen a link between institutions and the community, motivating their actions in favor of an organized, integrated city and trained. It seeks the integration of public spaces linked to educational, cultural, and sport facilities that manage to articulate education with urban life, recovering and protecting areas, generating a symbiosis between the communities of Baruta. Counting on the fundamental participation of the university, the public sector, such as the Town Hall of Baruta, communities organized as guarantors being the first beneficiaries of the proposal, and non-governmental and institutional organizations. It seeks to reinforce values that allows to recovery and guaranteeing of physical spaces for the community training. Among these strategies, we seek integrate institutions with communities through training, cultural, and sports networks. Protect green and unsustainable areas near urbanized areas through green corridors that act as conductors of urban and ecological flows, stimulating social cohesion, and agricultural parks with an educational and productive function as a way to boost the local economy. And connect physically separated communities and institutions through systems of stairs, ramps, and corridors, generating transversal connections and an alternative mobility system as a metro cable, allowing Baruta to also form part of a metropolitan mobility system, such as the Metro de Caracas and the main roads. The execution of the project begins with the creation of public spaces that allow the coordination and training of the communities by the existing educational and cultural institutions, through agricultural activities, territorially expanding the education network, in order to achieve the necessary organizations to carry out larger-scale activities such as green corridors, the relocalization of certain settlements, improving accessibility in their wake, to eventually become new nodes with a variety of activities. Our proposal seeks to enhance the multiple training networks by generating an interconnected system integrating a sports, cultural, parks and recreational spaces network, where spaces for urban agriculture, together with new custodians and corridors, protect areas of ecological value, and that through an alternative public transport system. These spaces associated with the networks, with the communities, are connected. A metro cable that reinforces connectivity through different stations throughout the study sector, which goes from the town of Baruta to Hoyo de la Puerta. In order for the dynamics to be more fluid, the intervention of some roads is also proposed, since many ending in dead ends, limiting the influx to each specific area, as is in the case between La Palomera and La Limonera, without set-aside pedestrian connections that can help facilitate exchange between communities. In this way, interventions are carried out in 4 essential sectors. Intervention 1. La Palomera, the border connect. La Palomera is an uneven and dense territory with a defined border that is made up of different sectors of the neighborhood. The frame in the Baruta history helmet is defined by an orthogonal grid, in contrast to the neighborhood that has an irregular pattern, although there is no continuity, but plots are articulated, allowing a visual and pedestrian connection that exists from the Old Town to La Palomera. On the other hand, the lack of public transport to La Palomera affects the accessibility of the inhabitants to this sector. So, the internal mobility of the neighborhood is pedestrian, through alleys of sidewalks, which in turn affects to the existence of public and recreational spaces within the sector. Therefore, it is proposed to connect the border with the rest of the La Palomera as a common arrival and meeting space through which new public spaces occur that promote cultural and sports activities and in turn allow the integration of the different educational networks. The interventions respond to the different border conditions in the neighborhood and incorporate the public space together with new facilities, including one of the new Metrocable stations. Likewise, new pedestrian and vehicular roads are created, which allow not only faster access, but also more attractive and dynamic toward the new proposed spaces and generating a new connections with La Limonera sector. The proposal stimulates the urban organization of the sector and improves its functional and spatial relationship, reinforcing that already exists in the place. The different connections are improved, allowing a socio-spatial integration of the neighborhood with its context, while preserving the edge as a green protection zone and giving it a picturesque character. As a general strategy of the project, it is possible to make La Palomera a visible and an articulated sector with its environment, in which entrepreneurship, productivity, and educational development of the community are promoted.
Intervention 2. La Limonera, the Agro-Sport Park. The La Limonera sector is characterized by spontaneous single-family homes and multifamily buildings of social interest, unrelated activities, and an existing educational institution that function as an attractor, noticing lack of public space that integrate the sector. The Agro-Sport and Socio-Productive Park La Limonera is proposed, where training is promoted through sports, building on existing initiative, public space where agriculture interacts, sport and training around the environment, reinforcing connections. We propose to strengthen the existing institution, equipping it with classrooms for agricultural and botanical training, and an ecotourism hotel associated with the garden nursery. Integrating settlements and different fragments of the city, generating continuity of activity through public, agro-productive and connecting space, such as the spontaneous community of Los Picapiedras with the Jesus Garmendian Park. The proposal seeks to create connection through a pedestrian integration device that rests on the topography, connecting with stairs and ramps. That facilitates the controlled growth of future settlements dedicated to commerce and warehouse, ultimately functioning as a socio-productive device that takes advantage of urban agriculture on the slopes. Expanding the sports network through open space for communities, with facilities that are distributed on the edge of the park. Finally, this new centrally is enhanced with the Metrocable system, whose station functions as a public library, guarding parks and agricultural areas associated with the institution. The intervention seeks to integrate, equip, and generate vertical and horizontal connections, creating an integrated city. It seeks to consolidate a great node that relates the various communities. Intervention 3. Monterrey, the Culture Cross. Well-differentiated buildings for residential use predominate in this sector, isolated from each other due to topographic variations, linked only by the roads where the most active dynamics are the bus stop. Also, finding buildings for training and recreation use, such as the foundation and the school, that can serve as a special intermediary within the urban context of the sector. New space for educational and cultural use are proposed for the site that serve as an extension that what already exists, and that also achieve a cross-sectional connection that allows a more fluid exchange within communities, consolidating the presence of the educational institution as an urban actor, encouraging more pedestrian flow through integration devices, which help to delimit agricultural activities and stimulate local entrepreneurship, thus obtaining sequence of various activities between residence, commerce, production, training and recreation, which enrich the dynamics of the sector, and that allows the population to find things in common and share their particular qualities, creating open space that allow more direct communication between the communities and the institution. Intervention 4. Simón Bolivar University. Although the Simón Bolivar University has a great influence on urban dynamics, it does not have such an activist role with the communities due to poor accessibility, and the space within the campus are limited to specific activities aimed only at the university nucleus. For this reason, it is proposed to generate a cultural axis that involves the University Rectorate building, complementing through the axis space dedicated to the exchange and recreation such as the exhibition center and the amphitheater, being space of arrival and of common encounter. Following this axis, buildings for residential use are proposed for students and teachers, who rest on the topography and are articulated, with a pedestrian circulation device, reactivating the teacher's dining room, imparting gastronomic knowledge to the community, thus diversifying the activities of the university. As a whole, the proposal seeks to consolidate activities relation between the various communities of the city with the university through education and culture, improving their different connection and allowing a social spatial integration with the context. The idea of articulating and strengthening the relationship of education with urban life, allowing it to play the social role of teaching and the urban role of ordering, organizing, and protecting. It is not only applicable in Baruta, but it is latent at the metropolitan level, strengthening a larger network. The project is a replicable model that promotes education as the central axis of development and progress of a country, through the creation of a space that allows reinforcing values, acquiring knowledge, giving rise to debate and innovation. In short, a place where there is an opportunity to learn for the past, improve the present, and produce change in the future. Thank you so much.